Do you realize how fucking disgusting that is?
Yeah, it's disgusting when you change completely the point she made to be about something she didn't say. You want people to think JK Rowling is worse than she is. Oh wait, that's been the last fucking 5 years.
She had a vendetta against asexual people.
A vendetta equals one shitty tweet. Wow. This is getting grazed on the arm and flinging yourself to the floor as if your leg's broken.
Seldom does she ever even talk about anti-abortion policies.
She's like frequently talking about like the plight of women in like Iran or Afghanistan. You know, there are other women's rights issues.
Also make the claim that your movement is all about liberation, freedom, and autonomy for all genders.
Why would a TERF say all genders? They don't want gender to be a thing. No. JK Rowling is against the concept of consent. Turbo queer. We listened to their music actually. They're in a band called Turf Stomp, which is not great, but hey, listen.
Alright. I have a couple jokes, but not as many as last year. How do you get a guitar?
Is this a circle pit? It just looks like a bunch of people trotting round. Like the tamest fucking mosh pit I've ever seen in my life. I guess queers don't want to like shove each other around, so it's like the safe version of like a circle pit, you know? It's just like a jogger's circle instead, you know? Oh, this is bizarre to me. Some of them are just like walking. Is that a circle pit where you just walk in a circle? I'm so baffled. I thought for a second they would sit on a chair as soon as the music stopped. It's a mince pit. Yes. Yes. These people are all posers anyway. But yeah, turbo queer. Let's see what that person thinks of JK Rowling.
I want to talk about this and kind of just put it behind me and never talk about it again. Because yes, we're going to be talking about JK Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, and of course, noted transphobe. I have a lot of opinions of JK Rowling in particular, but I never really made an entire video dedicated to her, which is going to be that. And there are other content creators.
Yeah, very vital that in April 2025, you make your true feelings about JK Rowling known. Wow.
Particularly those who have way more patience to deal with JK Rowling's transphobic nonsense than I do. They've made videos about JK Rowling that go hours upon hours long. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't particularly like watching those videos. Because
yeah, because they're all exactly the same. They're all unwatchable. They're all full of the same takes that everyone has been hearing for 5 fucking years now.
I don't really want to spend hours upon hours with JK Rowling being transphobic. That's not any of those content creators' fault, by no means.
No, it is. All of those videos suck. I don't even need to have seen them to know that those videos suck.
JK Rowling needs to be called out, and JK Rowling continues to...
Why does JK Rowling need to be called out? What have you to say about JK Rowling that hasn't already been said a million times over on Twitter, on YouTube, on Blue Sky now, on every other social media? Why just leave her alone? Why is JK assumed to be transphobic? Well, she talks about trans stuff a lot and not very favorably.
Need to be called out, as we will talk about later in this video, but I just want you to know that the reason why
The thing is, I could probably find things that JK Rowling has said over the years that I find to be transphobic. The problem is, at this point, it's been like a long back and forth between JK Rowling and like trans or like queer and whatever other people, allies and stuff. It's got to the point now where both sides have escalated so far that there's kind of no sense to be made anymore. Initially, all JK Rowling was saying was that like sex was real and stuff. And that she didn't like, you know, inclusive language, whereas like pregnant people and like chest feeders and stuff, which I agree with. I don't like that shit either. And it's like, it's gotten to a point now where it's like she's probably been driven so crazy by these people going off at her constantly. They're like, yeah, she probably is kind of transphobic these days, but like, I just truly don't care, to be honest. She says stuff I agree with. She says stuff I disagree with. I don't know what this continual fucking war against JK Rowling is achieving at this point. It's just making me lose respect for more and more of these fucking people. Like one of the things that really contributed to me peaking was the Hogwarts Legacy boycott from a few years ago. That was a classic example of how this shit has gone way too far and that everyone needs to just calm the fuck down. Someone has a difference of opinion to you. Just get over it. Who cares? Why do we need the millionth video saying JK Rowling is bad for 17 minutes almost? Why do we need that?
I have not done a similar video series or a video essay as long as those about JK
This guy sounds like Jar, just a robot. Does anyone else think he sounds just like Jar?
Rowling is because I genuinely, and I mean this, do not want to engage myself with JK Rowling that much, let alone at all.
I don't want to. Well, then don't. That's fine. He proper sounds like just a robot for me. Wall of death. Now we have wall of mild discomfort. Yeah. Jesus. The autism. Hang on. No, this might do, actually.
So I said my next movie review was going to be on the Lorax, but luckily for me, this is not a movie review. This is a cartoon episode review, so I'm still in the clear. Now, for those of you who don't know what
Okay, just a robot.
I kind of just wish she wasn't relevant because ultimately she kind of makes herself routine.
Sounds so much like Jar. I didn't realize this. I've seen this person before. Anyway.
Relevant time and time again, and my goodness, it's not needed. So, okay, let's give you just a quick background, right? So, JK Rowling.
Is he just saying that a video by him about JK Rowling is not needed? And why are you still making it then?
It's not needed. Routinely relevant time and time again, and my goodness, it's not needed.
Jar marches on. Yeah, there we go.
So, okay, let's give you just a quick background, right? So JK Rowling, author of the Harry Potter series, became very powerful in the late 90s and 2000s. However, JK Rowling was dating this guy in the early 1990s by the name of George Arantes. I probably got that name wrong, don't at me, and plus, he's an abuser, and I'm not here to glorify him, because regardless as to how you or I feel about JK Rowling, that man is an evil person, and he should not only be accountable to his actions, but we should be actively fighting against anybody who thinks they can get away.
I mean, listen, reminding your fellow queers that JK Rowling has indeed experienced abuse is at least something.
With abuse. I think consent is a primary part.
It'll be, oh, you're lashing out at the wrong people. That's not really what's going on. What we do is we center it, all of the shit she says around trans people, which again now might be more relevant, might be more appropriate. But to begin with, it wasn't about trans people, it was about sex being real. And people took it and centered it around trans people and made out that it was like anti-trans. It's just like more of our fucking narcissism,
Part of any relationship, and I think anybody who violates consent should be held accountable. And I don't think that's a controversial pick. I think, unless you're a pro-rapist, which is not something that I see every day, unless you are a member of the GOP, then you're literally just that. But I don't think you're going to find anybody really meaningfully contesting that consent and accountability are some of the more fundamental
Jar didn't fall in love with a pedo. He was just trying to rizz up a pedo.
Things in building some kind of relationship, on top of other important qualities like communication, so on and so forth. However, JK Rowling, as valid as her anger is towards that previous,
I don't understand how they would rather ruin it for all the other people who worked hard on the game. They even included a trans character. Well, people didn't like the trans character because they were called Sir Owner, SIR, and then Owner, which people didn't like. It's like the extreme, dipshit, utilitarian shit. Well, this might make money for JK Rowling, and that contributes to anti-trans hate, which is extremely nebulous, but that's what people say. To me, I just couldn't care less. I don't know. Play a fucking game, don't play a fucking game. I don't give a shit. I'm not here to tell people what they can and can't enjoy myself.
Previous relationship has decided to...
I listen to quite a few bands that I bet have very different opinions to me on trans rights and stuff like that. But I still enjoy the music, so I don't really care super much. Whether they have the same belief system as me. It's the same with video games. Anyone that's made any game that I like might have been transphobic or might think that you should transition children. Am I going to now be well, I can't play that because some of the payment, some of the salary given during the production of this went to someone I don't agree with? That to me is retarded. I don't care that much. People think differently. That's fine.
to project her hatred of that man onto transgender people.
This is a really stupid analysis. So she got abused and now she's projecting her hatred of her abuser onto trans people. That's retarded.
Let me just explain something to you. That man who hurt her is not a trans woman or trans man or non-binary, any part
He's also just not really relevant to any of this.
of the LGBTQ plus spectrum. Yet since
Oh, thank you, Pierce. I appreciate that.
at least 2017, almost a decade at this point,
Yeah, it's almost like people can just like personally decide not to buy something if they don't like where the money's going. Like, then we have to tell everyone else not to. But the problem with that boycott is, like, more people wanted to buy the game because they were sick of being told what they can and can't enjoy. And this, to me, was a massive L that the trans community was taking. And it was the first time that I saw one of these utter, like, dipshit trans radical activist initiatives that loads of people I know were in on. So many people I knew were pushing this shit. So many people. I knew people that, like, they'd be posting on their fucking Facebook being like, oh, well, if you're considering buying the new Harry Potter game, remove me as a friend. Like, insisting that anyone that wants to associate with them has to jump through more and more fucking hoops. And, like, what does that make people think about trans people in general? Like, how many people are going to be looking at this like, trans people are just fucking impossible to be friends with? I don't want people to think that about trans people, believe it or not. And then when they failed and people bought the game anyway, people started running around spoiling the ending. I knew people in their fucking 40s doing that shit. It's embarrassing. What the fuck are you doing? Like, that was one of the things that like, really peaked me the fuck out.
JK Rowling has positioned herself as a primary opponent to transgender people as we speak today. This has manifested
Armchair psychoanalyzed by someone who likely can't even read social situations. Yep. We're all suddenly qualified to psychoanalyze other people. It's really annoying. I try as best as I can not to do it. Maybe I don't always succeed. People do it to me constantly. And when I point it out, it's like, oh, well, you deserve to be psychoanalyzed. Like, fuck you. You've no idea what goes on in here. Almost no one does. And that's fine. I don't mind keeping it that way to an extent. The first time people as a whole rebelled against trans activism. I mean, people have been doing it for longer. But I think it was one of the first things where it's like, people just aren't on our side in general over this. People don't like I knew people, fucking hell. I knew people that I knew someone at work who loved Harry Potter so much that pretty much every outfit she had that wasn't work clothes was like Harry Potter shit. I think to myself, do I honestly think this person hates trans people based on what I know about them? No, I just don't. That's ridiculous. People enjoy things that are made by people that have different values to them. Some of those people might actually see a bit more nuance than other people do in what JK Rowling's been saying. Especially given that we're talking about a few years ago by now. I remember when one of the books came out, they were driving around with a megaphone, shouting a spoiler at bookstores. Fortunately, there was a twist that didn't completely spoil it for me. Yeah, it's just why do that? All you're doing is making yourself more hated. Giving people reasons to hate you. Why do that?
in numerous ways, one of which is that she is
Really, I just think people don't want to be told what to do, what to say, what they can and can't enjoy. That's when you start pissing people off. Do we need to be pissing as many people off, given the situation trans people are in? I don't think so, at all. I think we should humble ourselves.
made friends with gender-critical neo-fascists like Posie Parker. This
Gender-critical neo-fascists like Posie Parker, wow. Million IQ analysis.
video is not about Posie Parker, but for those who don't know, Posie Parker did an anti-transgender tour across the continent of Australia.
A Nazi showed up. That means she's a Nazi.
To which, at all of her events, neo-Nazis showed up.
Was it even all of her events or one of them in Australia? I can't remember. Either way, some people showing up to your event doesn't mean that you're now a neo-Nazi. All that shit people say. If you have a table with 10 people and one of them's a Nazi, you have 10 Nazis. Fuck off, bro.
And began seek hailing, until other trans people and trans allies showed up at her last stop, putting an end to her nonsense. This is one of those people that JK
Yeah, someone assaulted her, someone threw soup over her. She was practically dragged through a crowd, giving her no space whatsoever. Wasn't great. I'm not sure how much of a fan I am of Posie Parker, but come on, bro.
JK Rowling has befriended, among many others. Some of those other people are US politicians and lobbyists who are anti-abortion, along with being anti-trans. Anyway, all of this is very vague intentionally for the sake of brevity, because this is not a
man going on about abortion who cannot get pregnant, will never get another person pregnant.
recap of all of the transphobic and hateful misogynist bullshit that JK Rowling has been involved with for almost a decade now, but this is just to kind of give you a little bit of a taste as to what I'm talking about. Because you gotta keep in mind that no matter what, when we talk about this, we are to recognize that JK Rowling is attempting, keyword attempting, to make herself a champion of women's rights and an opponent of patriarchy. This is
at least acknowledging that that is probably the mentality behind it, not I hate trans people.
The general framing of her transphobia. So, would it surprise you that she also has a
I mean, whether she's transphobic or not is very subjective, and transphobia is basically meaningless now, so.
vendetta against asexual people? No, I'm serious. She has a vendetta against asexual people.
A vendetta equals one shitty tweet. Wow.
Let me explain what I mean, because on April 6th, which is International Asexuality Day, JK Rowling decided to tweet saying, quote, happy
This equals vendetta. This is like Italian footballer shit. This is getting grazed on the arm and flinging yourself to the floor as if your leg's broken.
International Fake Oppression Day to everyone who
Fucking what's his name? Neymar Jr. Is that his name? He'd be proud of you for this one.
wants complete strangers to know
The guy that's like always flinging himself, like screaming, like someone comes anywhere near him and he like flings himself to the floor. Like, that's what this shit is. One tweet equals this person has a vendetta. I think they're probably just sick of a lot of this shit at this point. All this like identity shit. Like, can you blame her?
they don't fancy a shag. This is the same
Hi, Makoda Squirrel. I'm okay. How are you?
woman who wants you to believe that she champions women's rights and is an opponent of patriarchy. So for those who don't know what asexuality is, it's pretty much little to no attraction or little to no desire to engage in sexual activity. Asexuals can develop friendships, they can develop even romantic relationships.
It's almost like asexuals are like humans, like everyone else. Wow.
But
It's almost like the difference between an asexual person and a non-asexual person. It's actually really not very much.
sexual desires is not necessarily something that is
Listen, if one tweet making fun of some people is enough to make you think they have a vendetta, then maybe you've lost your mind. Like, what happened to just being able to make fun of whoever you want? I love a good trans joke.
on their list of priorities. Some asexuals do engage in sex, but ultimately at the end of the day, they're not necessarily all that interested in sex. Again, not on their list of priorities.
And that makes them special, you got to understand.
Now, for some people, sex absolutely is a priority. It's very important to some people that they engage in sexual activity. After all, that's part of being human, is having lots and lots of sex. But being asexual does not make you less human.
Oh, the way to help me in any way, whether an artist or otherwise, is to like and subscribe.
And it doesn't make you less of a person for not wanting to have sexual relations with another person. Well, I myself am not necessarily asexual. I've actually grown in my 30s to kind of realize that sex is not all what it has necessarily been hyped up to be. Sex is just kind of something that you do with
Thank you for following. Thank you. I agree with her. I don't want to know if someone doesn't like sex. I mean, if someone wants to talk about being asexual, that's fine. But it's like, I don't know. It goes a bit beyond that. It needs a flag. It needs its place in like the LGBTQIA. It's like, is it that deep? People experience either lesser or more attraction. I don't know. We're like, every tiny bit of human variance needs its own flag. And to be part of the queer community now, I just don't see the point. If someone wants to make fun of that on Twitter, like, okay, they're probably not going to make many asexual friends, but like, really, who cares? People make fun of trans people all the time on the internet.
someone if they're
People extra make fun of like true scums or whatever the fuck I am all the time. That's fine. Go ahead. Get your fucking bag.
cool with it. Sometimes I have sex, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm hypersexual, and sometimes I do go years with having no sex at all. Everybody's different, and that's one thing that we all need to recognize here, is that no matter what, even just...
Yeah, I think what we're getting towards is the kind of everyone's special, but at the same time, nobody is special, you know?
recognizing who asexual people are. Asexuals are not, by any stretch of the word, monolithic. Meaning, some asexuals, like I said, do engage in some sexual activity, while others are completely turned off by the idea. It's a spectrum, so to speak. And the same can be said about aromantic people, who are also, sometimes they engage in a little bit of romance, or sometimes they just don't want to engage in romance at all, and they would rather just have a friend to play checkers with. Those people...
My friend had someone come out to him as asexual. I've never encountered this silliness in the real world, and even a second-hand experience was super bizarre. Cool, bro, keep that dick dry. Yeah, listen, I just don't really, I'm not interested. I'm not really interested in, like, my friends' sex lives all that much. Like, if a friend of mine is, like, broken up with someone and is sad about it, then I get that. Like, something's exciting or new or whatever. Stuff like that. They meet someone new that I might meet one day. Then cool, but, like, do I need to know to what degree you experience attraction? I don't even care that much, like, whether someone's, like, straight or gay, to be honest. There's been at least one person I've worked with that I just never knew was gay, and, you know, I guess I assume that someone's straight unless they say otherwise. And they just mention offhand they're gay, and it's like, okay, I slightly update my mental model of them. It doesn't mean anything. Like, why do you need to come out as that kind of thing? Just, like, if it comes up, that's fine. I don't care. But, like, do we need these, like, overwrought, like, coming out for every tiny little identity?
Are also valid. So, for the sake of argument...
Yeah, like, coming out as asexual. Like, what if you're straight? What are you coming out as? A straight person who's not as attracted to other people as the average straight person. Like, wow. I don't know, bro.
Let's take a look again at JK Rowling's sentiment about how this is fake oppression that asexual people go through on a day-to-day basis in our queer-phobic world.
In our queer-phobic world. It's always so, like, generalized, isn't it? The asexual oppression that people go through in this queer-phobic world. As if we're like appealing to, like, a vague vibe of queerphobia that encompasses transphobia and homophobia and acephobia and all this other stuff. But you can't pinpoint anything. Plenty of asexual people probably aren't oppressed, like, at all. I don't think I'm oppressed for being trans myself. I'm a white British person. I'm able to do what I want to do for the most part. It's not easy. If I am oppressed, it isn't because I'm trans.
Let's really think about this, because JK Rowling has a crime novel series that she pen names herself as Robert Galbraith, named after...
Oh no, a killer in one of her books was a cross-dresser. Such queerphobia. Very wow. How is asexual queer? You'd have to have seen the previous video I reacted to. Anything is queer if you call yourself queer. If you're not queer, then you don't call yourself it. That's really what it is. That's how spicy straights call themselves queer. I mean, yeah, that's true. I'm trying not to say it, like, so bluntly, but that is true.
The person who invented electroshock therapy, which, by the way, children who are suspected of being gay go through without consent. On top of that, this crime novel series, Troubled Blood, or whatever the fuck it's called at this point, uses transphobic stereotypes to frame trans...
Isn't it a cross-dresser? I thought cross-dressing and trans weren't the same thing.
Trans women as predatory. Meanwhile, she's here on April 6th.
We already went off on a massive tangent, by the way. We haven't really described why it's bad to make fun of International Asexual Day. Like, I don't know why people get so worked up about, like, one social media post.
2025, calling what asexual people go through as fake...
In current year...
oppression. Can you imagine if, like, a cisgender man...
Well, explain what oppression they're going through, then. Go ahead.
Went up to JK Rowling and proudly proclaimed that the abuse that she went through in the 90s was justified, and then the same cisgender man would go...
Do you think no people have ever told her that the abuse she experienced was justified? I'd be willing to bet that has happened many times. Probably sometimes by so-called cisgender men, but not exclusively, I'd imagine.
Go on to proclaim that rape culture is fake and that patriarchy is awesome. Can you imagine the response she would give? It would be a justified repulsion.
Well, I imagine she'd ignore it, along with all the other death and rape threats she gets constantly. I think that's probably not even close to the worst thing someone said to JK Rowling, to be honest, but okay.
Towards that. But here she is saying that someone goes through fake oppression because they don't consent to sex. Do you not understand how like inherently predatory that is?
That's not predatory. She's making fun of International Asexual Day. My guess is she thinks it's like flagrant and like meaningless, you know? Well, why does this exist? That kind of thing. And I mean, the problem is you're not laying out what oppression these people face. So it's like, well, what am I supposed to think? I think it's someone popping off on social media. I don't really care.
That means you have to have a problem with someone saying no to a sexual advance.
Okay, where does this have anything to do with consent? Happy International Fake Oppression Day to everyone who wants complete strangers to know they don't fancy a shag. What the fuck does that have to do with her feelings on consent? She's taking the piss out of something she sees as like a day to embrace how special asexual people are, when to her it's just not wanting to have sex. What's the point in this day? What oppression do these people experience? So this has got nothing to do with consent. This is not predatory. You could say it's mean. You could say it's kind of popping off unnecessarily about something that doesn't really affect her. You could probably make that argument. But predatory? Anti-consent? I ain't seeing any of that. What are you talking about?
Understand how like inherently predatory that is.
There is nothing predatory about that. You're trying to gaslight people at this point. You want people to think JK Rowling is worse than she is. Oh wait, that's been the last fucking 5 years of like transoids on the internet. Not like your average trans person, but like TRA types.
That means you have to have a problem with someone saying no to a sexual advance.
That's retarded.
Do you realize how fucking disgusting that is?
Yeah, it's disgusting when you change completely the point she made to be about something she didn't say. That is disgusting. But is that her stance?
To assume in good faith that maybe JK Rowling hadn't put this much thought into what I am talking about here, and that kind of does some of...
Well, she hadn't had any head injuries around that time, then yeah, she probably didn't put much thought into what you're saying.
Just exactly what kind of person JK Rowling is. She doesn't really put thought into fucking anything, really. Because she is terminally online. Her castle is full of mold, and you know what? I'm willing to bet...
Wow, mold memes. Very original. See what I mean? Listen, I agree with this guy saying, I don't really like watching hours-long videos about how much JK Rowling sucks. Because you can make a 17-minute video with all the same shitty points that make no sense, or are completely blown out, overplayed, done to death. Mold, wow.
That she only made that post because she saw someone on her timeline post that it was International Asexuality.
This person calling others terminally online. Yeah. Doesn't make a huge amount of sense.
Okay. But you want to know something else? Is that not only is this just really repulsive, it's just that I think she knew that this was repulsive. Because I think she knew that she was going to get some kind of response. I'm not the first or even only...
Knew she'd get some kind of response. Well, she was right. Like, fucking, there's loads of videos about this fucking singular tweet. It's pathetic. Who did we watch? That fucking Eddie Fadewalker or whatever her name is. Going around calling herself a man. It's like, you ain't no man, bro. I should know. They've got a Ko-fi page. They, she, they. But you're not terminally online, you know. People in the real world always go by they, fair pronouns, for example.
Critic of JK Rowling, especially on this particular post that she made. Many other people have responded appropriately to this repulsively disgusting tweet. But you want to know what else I'm gonna...
Repulsively disgusting. Keep laying on the outrage. It'll make it almost seem a tenth of how bad you're portraying it as. Do you know what this guy's doing? He's like trying to make JK Rowling seem cooler than she actually is.
Say about JK Rowling, she's not a feminist. In fact, if anything...
Like when people show the fucking cigar photo. Oh, look how much like Andrew Tate she looks. And I'm like, you're just making her look cooler than she even is.
She has been detrimental to the feminist cause. Think about it. In the last decade, I'm specifically talking about the 2010s, throughout the era of the Gamergate, and the anti-feminist, and the anti-SJW, which would evolve into what is now...
What did JK Rowling even have to do with Gamergate?
The anti-woke movement. Seriously, think about it. What the fuck was she doing throughout this period? She wasn't really doing anything to push any of those people back. It's not that she's too important to be
Also, JK Rowling isn't a good feminist because she wasn't getting involved in fucking Gamergate. She wasn't out there in the trenches getting death threats along with Brianna Wu. Like, that makes it sound sensible, if anything, but okay.
Terminally online, she is just that.
Well, it's kind of evidence against being terminally online if she wasn't weighing in during Gamergate, no.
Just that terminally online. So this stupid Scottish motherfucker should have actually been
She's not even Scottish, she's fucking English.
at least aware that all of this anti-feminist rhetoric and anti-feminist movement was going on in the terminally online world. She had to have
Completely meaningless. What are you talking about?
been at least kind of aware as to what's going on. But no, she didn't speak out about the alt-right during an uprising in the United States and in Europe.
She's not from the fucking United States. What alt-right uprising occurred in Europe? Like, I'd understand if you're talking about like Jan 6th or something. Don't know why you want a random English woman to weigh in on Jan 6th. Like, Europe? What are we talking about in Europe? Is Keir Starmer an alt-righter? Is that what we're going to say?
Seldom does she ever even talk about anti-abortion policies or anti-abortion actions coming.
Oh my god, these people are so stupid. They always do this. JK Rowling never talks about anti-abortion, therefore she's not a real feminist. But if you go on her timeline on Twitter, she's like frequently talking about like the plight of women in like Iran or Afghanistan or somewhere like that. That's kind of feminist, no? To be concerned with women in countries where women's rights are really not all that. In fact, often they have to live under extremely oppressive regimes, like very patriarchal regimes. What's more feminist? Talking about the plight of women in Afghanistan or talking about abortion being put back to the States in white America? I don't know, bro.
From the conservatives of both of those countries. No, she doesn't really even seem to care about those things. Yet when I speak to cisgender women and transgender men and feminine non-binary people, you want to know what I hear commonly throughout all
So, more cisgender women. Okay.
of those target demographic, along with other political topics that they deeply do care about? It's abortion.
Yeah, in America, you dumb fuck. JK Rowling's not even American. So, like, why would she be expected to talk about fucking abortion ad nauseum? You know, there are other women's rights issues than just abortion. Oh, wait, you don't because you're a man. And all the people you know are like radical freaks just like you who do equate abortion with the entirety of women's rights. Because it's the only thing you can fucking conceive of. And also, in general, your country's pretty okay for like women's rights compared to plenty of other places in the world. So maybe she's just prioritizing different issues. Queer trans girl, by the way.
Because abortion means you can save your fucking life after you've been sexually assaulted in unprotected sex.
I mean, that's one of the things it can mean. I doubt it's what the average abortion is used for.
So when I see JK Rowling talking about asexual people in this virulently disgusting fashion, not only do I see someone who is reprehensibly queerphobic, who is an anti-consent freak, but also someone who is in direct opposition through her words
Ad homs.
and through her actions to any feminist movement and
That's utterly retarded. You should really do your homework on people that you talk about.
to any opposition to patriarchy as it stands today. There is absolutely no reason to take JK Rowling seriously. As someone myself who has fallen for the anti-feminist movement throughout the 2010s, I've come around since then, in 2017 no less. And you want to know something? I've learned a lot about feminism. I've learned that feminism is a great movement that does need to be bolstered, that does need to be platformed, that does need to
Doesn't it depend what feminism you're talking about? Gender criticals are feminists. I'm sorry to break it to you. What do you think the F in TERF stands for? It is about feminism. It's just a different kind of feminism to intersectional feminism.
be the front fucking lines of any movement that claims to fight for freedom, liberty, and autonomy for all.
This is just my people good, your people bad.
Like, think about it. JK Rowling routinely goes after Olympic participants who are people of color on a regular...
Well, that's leaving out a lot of key details in those people, right? She goes after athletes of color. Why, though? Is it because they're of color? Not sure that's the case, is it? Wonder why you're wording this so deceptively.
routinely goes after Olympic participants who are people of color on a regular fucking basis. Imane Khelif, for example, is a cisgender woman who
Is a cisgender woman. How do you know? What's your source for that?
Was targeted by JK Rowling.
There is evidence out there that Imane Khelif has XY chromosomes. Are they necessarily a cisgender woman then? They might not be a woman at all, technically.
And given numerous death threats by JK Rowling's followers. She's not even transgender, mind you. This is someone who was born female.
Not even transgender. Well, maybe trans people aren't the center of JK Rowling's universe. You're just perceiving it that way because you need someone to hate. And you want to hit the same fucking piñata that all your stupid fucking friends have been hitting for a long time now.
Female and is still female today by her gender identity. Yet in the country where she is from, Algeria, being transgender is illegal. So saying that somebody who was born female and is still female today by her gender identity.
Yeah, female and male aren't gender identities.
Yet in the country where she is from, Algeria, being transgender is illegal. So
no one's even saying that Imane Khelif is fucking transgender. The common belief is that they possibly have 5ARD, which means that they're actually male, not female, because they have internal testes. If someone's going to get misassigned sex at birth, if that's what we're calling it, it's probably going to be like people with those kind of disorders in third world countries. It's not hard to figure out. There's some evidence out there that this person is not what they believe themselves to be or claim to be, or how they were raised.
saying that somebody is transgender can get them arrested or killed if they're from a fucking country where being transgender can mean that your very existence is fucking criminalized.
Okay, amazing. Show me anywhere that JK Rowling said that Imane Khelif is transgender. I will wait endlessly, forever.
Is that what a feminist does? Is a feminist somebody who has to judge your very worth?
I mean, isn't it feminist to say that you don't think males and females should box each other? I don't know, Chief. It's almost like feminism at its heart is meant to be about uplifting women, you know, females.
Whether or not you look like a woman or not,
who typically benefits from patriarchy? Male people. Who typically are disadvantaged in a patriarchy? Female people. It's interesting how this works, isn't it? Feminist, female,
Imagine as an anarchist myself, if I judged you and...
Original thinker right here, anarchist. Queer trans girl anarchist. Never seen any of that before. Very, very original thinker we're dealing with.
Your journey as an anarchist based on how big your beard was because it didn't look exactly like Peter Kropotkin's beard. You would correctly look at me like I am fucking crazy, and I wouldn't blame you because that is a shitty and absurd standard to hold somebody by. And it is equally a shitty and absurd standard to hold someone to patriarchy beauty standards and to call yourself...
That's not what's happening. How are you this thick? Like, why did you make this video? This is like a complete fucking straw man. No one's saying that Imane Khelif can't be a woman because they don't adhere to typical beauty standards. In fact, the opposite was the case at one point. Because they did that whole photo shoot interview thing, all dolled up with all this like makeup and stuff on. Like literally putting on the beauty standards in order to appeal to people, saying that this person must be female because that's what they say they are, and because that's what it says on their passport. It's not always quite that, you know, cut and dry. And it's bizarre. Who's the one simplifying sex now?
A feminist. Bull fucking shit. I'm gonna wrap this up by clarifying the word TERF, because some people...
Torrens American cousin, hey, maybe.
Believe that the word TERF is an acronym that stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist.
It is. TERFism is derived from feminism, ultimately.
And I take issue with the last part of that, the feminist part, because I want you to really...
Yeah, it's because you're a retard and you don't know what feminism is, but okay.
Think about what a movement where you exclude certain types of people truly based on looks while using...
Based on looks? You don't understand TERFism if that's what you think, bro.
Where you exclude certain types of people truly based on looks while using patriarchal...
I'm excluding you based on looks. Said no TERF ever. It's about sex.
Beauty standards, and then at the same time also make the claim that your movement is all about liberation, freedom, and autonomy for all genders. Is that feminism to you? Were both of those...
Well, they're not going to say all Why would a TERF say all genders? TERFs are like fucking gender abolitionists. TERFs don't think there is any such thing as gender. And anything presenting itself as gender is oppressive to women and should be shut down. You know, gender roles, stuff like that. Women staying home and carrying the baby and not fucking going to work or doing anything for themselves. They don't believe in gender. Why would they say equality and liberation for all genders? No, they believe there are two sexes and that's it. They don't want gender to be a thing. Holy shit, how do you not know this?
Those things can exist in the same movie.
Like, these people obsess endlessly over TERFs and they don't even understand their fucking worldview. How do you get to this place in life? Fuck me, man.
No, what we call that is a fucking contradiction. And you want to know what JK Rowling...
Yeah, it's funny. When you completely misrepresent someone's opinion or position, yeah, you can make it sound contradictory as fuck if you want. Because you're the one making it up at that point.
Truly is, she is a trans exclusionary radical fascist. She is more politically in line with the United States Supreme Court that repealed Roe versus Wade than she even
Okay, that's not fascist, but okay.
Is with any member.
Why would a fascist country with sub-states, wouldn't that fascist country want all the states to act in unison, to have the same rules, do all the same things, have the same standards? Why would it be fascist to allow the states to all have their own rules? That doesn't make any sense.
Of the feminist movement. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Isn't fascism typically like authoritarian, you know? Doesn't seem very authoritarian to let the states pick their own rules on certain things.
Listening to me. I know this is short, and I know, once again, this is just me talking over game footage, but I am working on something, and I do want you to be excited for the end of April. Mark your calendars, April 30th, I am coming out with an extensive video essay, so just understand, I am making low-effort content, but at the same time, you can't necessarily fault me, because I am making...
When we're talking about low-effort content, I don't have a problem with someone talking over, like, video game footage. That's not the kind of low effort that I don't like. The kind of low effort I don't like is when something is intellectually low effort, which is what this truly is. You don't actually know what you're talking about. I don't know why you'd make something like this. Absolutely batshit.